Good evening, Dhamma friends. Wish you all blessings of the Noble Triple Gem. Today is September 9th, which is Saturday evening. We are going to begin this evening Sutta study class by the power of the Noble Triple Gem. Let me welcome all of you, those who join with us through Zoom and YouTube and live stream. And also we have one gentleman here with the Sutta study class. So let me welcome all of you for today's Sutta studies. To begin with, our due respect goes to the Supreme Buddha, and it is done by reciting the Namo Tassa 3 times in Pali and also in English. Please join with me to begin the Sutta study class with this recitation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully enlightened One. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So for today's Sutta studies, we have selected another discourse from Majjhima Nikaya, the book number 2. The suttas is Dhammacetiya Sutta, and it is the Sutta number 89 in Majjhima Nikaya. The very word Dhammacetiya is translated as monuments of the Dhamma. There are special, remarks or monuments of the Dhamma. So let's read the discourse. I think this discourse is talking about the various things about the Buddha and also the Dharma and the disciples of the Buddha, and how important the confidence on what you are doing is also discussed in this discourse. When you read the discourse, you can understand what it brings to us. It's a kind of story with about a king at the time of the Buddha, and that is the first part of the discourse. The king and the closed minister are talking about usual preparation. Then we go to the conversation between the Buddha and the king, so that we can see how the sutta unfolds and what Dhamma we can find in this discourse. Dhammacetiya Sutta is a significant one, monuments of the Dhamma. So let's read it. Thus I have heard, on one occasion, the Buddha was living in the Sakyan country at a town of the Sakyan name Medalumpa. So the Buddha was not at the Savatthi at the Jetavanaramaya, where he was mainly residing for several decades, but he was at the Sakyan country where he was born. But it was not the very exact place he was born. The place name is Medalumpa. On that occasion, the king Pasenadi of Kosala had arrived at Nagaraka for some business or the other. Then he addressed Digakarayana. It is said in the commentary that the king of Kosala, called Pasenadi, is one of the greatest king at the time. There were two countries that are very famous and powerful. One country is Magadha, the other country is Kosala. These are the two main countries at the time of the Buddha, apart from Vajja and Avanti. So King Kosala is a significant character in Buddha's life because He was a friend of the Buddha even before he attained to enlightenment. And after the enlightenment, the king Kosala, Pasenadi Kosala, supported the Buddha so much, so that there are a lot of conversation going on with regard to various subjects between the Buddha and King Kosala. It is said that if the Buddha is closer to the palace or somewhere the king goes, he would visit the Buddha. He would definitely engage with some discussion. So at this occasion, King Kosala was at a place called Nagaraka for some business, and he talked to his close, minister Digakarayan. The conversation is about visiting a park. Digakarayan, have the state carriage prepared. Let us go to the pleasure garden to see a pleasing spot. So basically, we see that like today, those people in the hierarchy of the administration wants to go different places, particularly at the time the kings, control the countries. They had a pleasure garden. They had garden where only royals go and enjoy. So I think this is one of the places that King Pasenadi always go with his ministers or whoever whoever came with him. In the first couple of paragraphs of the sutta, the story goes like King Pasenadi mounted a stage carriage and accompanied by various people, and with Nagar, they moved from Nagaraka to those places where they can enjoy. And as long as they went by those carriage, they went, and there are places that they could not go by those cart, so that they walked through. And at some point, King Pasenadi found out very beautiful groves, trees, and lovely park. They are inspiring. It is said in the discourse, Pasenadi saw roots of trees that were lovely and inspiring, quiet and undisturbed by voices, with an atmosphere of seclusion, remote from people, favorable for retreat. The sight of these reminded him of the Buddha thus. So, whenever he saw a very quiet place, like a beautiful tree with some shade, he remembers quickly they are very beautiful. These places are not good for people who enjoy sensual pleasures, but they are good for people who meditate. Because whenever you go to a very nice place, naturally your mind inclines to peace and happiness. So this shows that Pasenadi Kosala, the king Pasenadi Kosala, knows what the Buddha feel, and he of course understand the importance of this kind of solitude, secluded park with meditation, so that he quickly remember the Buddha, because Buddha admired these kind of places. Buddha was in the forest for several years before he attained to enlightenment. Though he was at the main monasteries in big cities for a certain period of time, he managed to go to forest area and stay in meditative mind, even though he didn't have anything to do with meditation, because he's the self-enlightened Buddha. He used to practice meditation just for his relaxation, just for his just for giving disciples a message that we have to meditate. So King Pasenadi remembered the Buddha immediately, and he thought that if the Buddha here, definitely he will be in a very seclusion mode here. So that's what he thought about. Then it is said in the discourse that King Pasenadi asked Digakarayana where the Buddha is today. Do you know where the Buddha is? Where the Buddha is these days? Digakarayana said to King, this is there is a town of Sakya named Medalumpa, the Blessed One, accomplished and fully enlightened, is now living there. So, still the king Pasenadi with Digakarayana in Nagaraka, somewhere close to where the Buddha is. So, Buddha, Narayana, sorry, Karayana, knows about the place where the Buddha is, so that he answered, Buddha is going to be in a place called Medalumpa. How far it is from Nagaraka to Medalumpa? King asked. It is not far, sir, 3 leagues. It is said in the Buddhist text that 1 league is uh, around around 7 or 6 miles. 1 league is 7 or 6 miles. So then they decided that it is not too far because they have vehicles to go. They got into vehicles and reached to Medalumpa, where the Buddha lived. So they when the king reached there, we see that they cannot go to the where monks and the Buddha live directly by their cart, so they stopped them in some distance and walked through. And when he walked through to the area where bhikkhus lives, he saw a very beautiful sign. Some bhikkhus were walking up and down mindfully, some were in sitting meditation. King Pasenadi got closer to one of the monks and asked, Venerable sirs, where is where is the Buddha living today? Where is the Buddha today? We want to see him. We want to talk to the supremely enlightened Buddha. Then the monks, according to the Sutta, showed the kuti or the room where the Buddha was living and said that this is very important. So you go to the door and knock the door. This is how monk said. That is his dwelling, great king, with the closed door. Go up to it quietly, without hurrying. Enter the porch, clear your throat, and tap on the panel. The Buddha will open the door for you. King Pasenadi handed over his sword and turban to Digakarayana. Then and there, the Digakarayana thought that so the king is going into secret session now, and I have to wait here alone now. So the significant thing here is that the Buddha appreciate silence. He doesn't want anyone to make big noise out of talking, out of walking. So the way the Buddha appreciate the discipline is very high, is highlighted here. So go to the kuti quietly, no without hurrying, enter the porch, clear your throat, and tap the door. Then the Buddha will come and open the door for you. So the Buddha must be in a very mindful state. Of course, he is mindful state always. So when somebody come and get looking for help, he definitely come out. So the king follows all the steps the monks asked, and he went to the Buddha. As soon as the Buddha opened the door, he declared himself, I am the king Pasenadi of Kosala, Venerable sir. I am so and so. So then the Buddha asked, king, but the great king, but what reason do you see for doing such supreme honor to this body and for showing such friendship? So as soon as the king Pasenadi, went to the Buddha, he did those reverential salutations, putting his hands together and bending down to the feet of the Buddha. He worshipped the feet, appreciating the Buddha's presence in front of you by touching the Buddha's feet. Then the Buddha asked, what is the reason? What is the reason for doing this? This supreme honor to this body, and for showing such friendship. Venerable sir, this is the actually, for me, so far the sutta tells a kind of story. Here and there we can find some interesting points of dharma, but the dharma of the discourse is found from this place. Venerable sir, I infer according to the dharma about the Buddha, like this: the Buddha is fully enlightened, the dharma is well proclaimed by the Buddha, and the sangha of the Buddha's disciples is practicing the good way. So from the Dhamma, as I know the Dhamma, that's how he says. Venerable sir, as I know the Dhamma, to me the Buddha is fully enlightened. The Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Buddha. And the Sangha of the Sangha means the disciples of the Buddha are practicing the Dharma that I also appreciate very much. So it's not somebody else's statement. It is the very statement of King Pasenadi Kosala as he feels. Right? So to me, King Pasenadi Kosala has actually understood a lot of things in the Buddha, in the Dhamma, and in the of the Sangha by this time. So that's why he has that veneration, he has that confidence about the Noble Triple Gem. The Buddha is the first gem, the Dhamma is the second gem, and the Sangha is the third one. We call them gem because they are giving us the most important thing in our life. When you have confidence on the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, you are not doing any wrong thing because you are practicing. You like to practice what the Buddha practice, and that's mean the Dharma, and then you are following the footprint of Sangha, which means those people who have let go of suffering. So that here the King Pasenadi Kosala says something remarkable. I infer according to the Dhamma about you, the Buddha, that you are fully enlightened, and the Dhamma you proclaim is excellent, up to the point, and the people who practice this Dhamma is in the right direction. So having said this statement, he justified. This is very important. I don't want to read everything, every word in the paragraphs because it's too long, but I will tell you what exactly he's talking about. Now, Venerable Sir, what did the King Pasenadi tell the Buddha? According to my understanding, as I know the Dhamma, the Buddha is fully enlightened, the Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Buddha, and the Sangha is in the right way. So to explain it further, he says this: Venerable Sir, I see some recluses and Brahmins. The recluses and Brahmins means other religious people leading a limited holy life for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and 40 years. And then on a later occasion, I see them well groomed and well anointed with trimmed hair and beard, enjoying themselves, provided and endowed with the 5 codes of sensual pleasures. So he says that I see other religious people, they became like that only for number of years. After that, they went back to lay life, and they do all kinds of things usually lay people do, with perfume, with beard, and they wear different type of clothes, and they engage with household life. But here I see bhikkhus, that's monks, leading the perfect, pure holy life as long as life and breath last. Indeed, I do not see any other holy life elsewhere as perfect, as pure as this. This is why, Venerable Sir, I infer according to the Dhamma about the Buddha is fully enlightened and the Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Buddha and the Sangha of the Buddha is practicing good way. So he compares the bhikkhu, the disciples of the Buddha to other religious people. I see, because King Pasenadi, as the king of the country, is much aware of various people in the country. So he says now that I see other religious people and they ordain only for a short period of time. Even if they stay for 40 years in ordination, they go back to lay life and enjoy sensual pleasures like lay people. So they are not anymore mendicants. They are not anymore recluses. They now householders. But I don't see this from your order. Your monk, your disciples are very disciplined, and they came to the order with a vision and mission, and they accomplish it, and they stay there to the last moment of their lives. Perhaps this statement is coming to effect at the last stage of King Pasenadi, because we know from the history and many discourses that the Buddha's ministry had some problem after 20 and 20, 35 years, 25 years, because basically the Buddha put Vinaya rules or discipline rules after 20 years. That means problems started in the Sangha order after 20 years. Some people came to the order with polluted mind. I would say that they did not come to the order to attain enlightenment, to practice the Dhamma genuinely. They were there just because they got food, they had a place to live, and they did not want to work for the government, no businesses. They can eat easily, take from people. So that a lot of people came to the order later on for such minor purposes. So that problem started. So when the king Pasenadi told this statement to the Buddha that I do not see anyone goes back to lay life, which means he tells this story just, within that 20 years before that problematic period. So it is the reverence of King Pasenadi towards monks. So in order to tell that the supremely enlightened Buddha that you are such a person and the Dhamma is such and the Sangha is such, I have this evidence that other religious people stay in the monkhood only for a short period of time, but bhikkhus, monks, they do not like that. They are not like that. They stay in the sasana, in the order with devotions, and I don't see anyone goes back to lay life. So again, Venerable Sir, he tells you a few examples or facts to prove that the Buddha is enlightened and the Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Tathagata and the Sangha of bhikkhus are in the right path. The second thing he says, again, Venerable Sir, kings quarrel with kings, nobles with nobles, Brahmin quarrel with Brahmins, householders with householders, mothers quarrel with child, child with mother, father with child, child with father, brother quarrels with brothers, brother with sister, and so on. Friends when friends. So we can see that in any relationship, these kind of problems arises. But here, I see bhikkhus living in concord with mutual appreciation, without disputing, blending like milk and water, weaving each other with kindly eyes. I do not see any other assembly elsewhere with such concord. This too, Venerable Sir, is why I infer, according to the Dhamma, about the Buddha Buddha is fully enlightened, Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Buddha, and the Sangha of the Buddha is in the right way. Yes, actually, this is evidenced by a few suttas also, that even Ajatasattu, the king of the Magadha, after Bimbisara, King Bimbisara, Ajatasattu came to the throne and he killed his father. So he was so upset about it later on. So one day he wanted to find out some leaders, some religious leaders, to make his mind happy again, because he was so fearful about the killing of his father. Then the minister called Jivaka uh, was taking the king of Magadha, Ajatasattu, to the monastery where the Buddha was, and he did not find any sound at all in that forest where the Buddha and the Sangha was living. He thought that this is a coup again, to be killed him by the minister. No, he said that no, that is how it is. When the Sangha, no matter how many numbers are there, live together, they do not make any unnecessary talks. They are in mindful staying, and they do not talk at all when they meet each other here and there. If they want to talk, they do in a polite way, in a manner of Dhamma discussion, so that even if you go to a monastery where a lot of monks live, there is no sound, there is no any noise at all. So here the same thing, the king Pasenadi confirmed that bhikkhus always live in concord. Mutual relationship is so high, and without disputing, they live together just like milk and water. We cannot separate milk and water when you mix them. The friendship they have is such. Why monks and nuns at that time lived like this? Because they took the message of the Buddha very well about the requisite of enlightenment. What are the requisite of enlightenment? Kalyana mitra, wholesome friendship. And then Saddhamma Savana, sharing Dhamma each other, or listen to the Dhamma. Then Yoniso Manasikara, wise attention, and Dhammanudhamma Patipatti, living according to Dhamma. These are the requisite for Sotapanna, the first stage of enlightenment. That is the entrance to the whole scope of enlightenment. So if you make sure that you are Sotapanna, you are in the order of Arya Sangha. So it is always said by the Buddha that we should have good friends. Venerable Ananda, the great attendants to the Buddha, was advised by the Buddha with this, the whole dispensation of the Buddha based on the friendship, wholesome friendship, so that all the monks were very friendly. They are viewing each other with kindly eyes. You are not looking at your fellow monks with bad mood, angry mood. No, there is nothing for you to be angry. You always become friendly with your fellow people. So this could be practiced even at home. So your wife, your husband, your children, your grandchildren, maybe your parents are with you, maybe your brothers are living with you, whoever it is, that is your people. So why don't you talk to them with smile on face? You don't want to laugh at all. Smile means a smile doesn't come to your face if compassion and kindness are not there in your mind, in your heart. So try to make things possible so that your situation would be so favorable and you're going to like your home. I found a lot of people stay outside many hours of the day and go home just to eat and sleep. That's all. I found one person, and he has some issues with the family, so he always go home late because he thinks that living outside is good for me than going home because he had a bad relationship. But anyway, we should be able to make our family life happy, as said in the discourse, weaving each other with kindly eyes. Unless you do that, just have some beautiful words for them. Share some beautiful words with them so that you will be treated in the same way. First, we have to give it. Secondly, we can expect it from others. So, so bhikkhus are like that. So this is another reason, Venerable Sir, for me to say that the Buddha is self-enlightened, and the Dhamma here, the Buddha explained, is well proclaimed, and the Sangha of bhikkhus are in the right Dhamma. Again, Venerable Sir, another reason. Again, Venerable Sir, I have walked and wandered from park to park and from garden to garden. There I have seen some recluses and Brahmins who are lean, rich, unsightly, jaundiced, with veins standing out on their limbs, such that people would not want to look at them again. I have thought, when I see them, I have thought this. Surely these venerable ones are leading the holy life in discontent, or they have done some evil deeds and are concealing it, so lean and wretched are they, and so on. So King Pasenadi tells the Buddha that I have, that I have gone to many parks, many gardens where recluses and Brahmins live. Some of them are giving torture to their body by standing with one leg and looking at the sun, worshipping the sun. And some do not wear enough clothes because they want to give suffering to the body in the thick, cold outside. So some do not eat well. So they are just like ghosts. I think, I feel that if people see these people as religious leaders, people do not want to see them again because their faces are not nice. Their complexion is very upset. They do not talk to people because they are mindful about their particular religious practice. With so much difficulty, they do it. So I don't think that people would like to see them again. I think personally that they have done something wrong in the past, and now they are experiencing result of those bad karma. They are having consequences of their own karma, but they don't tell it to people. They do not know how to tell it. However, they are having results of their bad karma. So I have asked them directly some questions like, why are you like that? Why are you like that? So some have said that they are coming. These physical problem are from my own family. They are from my family cycle. Some were very sick too. So then he said that, but here I see Bhikkhu smiling and cheerful, sincerely joyful, plainly delighting. Their faculties fresh, living at ease, unruffled, subsisting on what others give, abiding with mind as a wild deer. So abiding with mind as a wild deer. Wild deer always are freely moving. They don't have any problem at all. Just like that, monks are very pleasant, and they are moving freely. They don't have any problem at all. So I have thought, surely these venerable ones perceive successive stages of concentration in the Buddha's dispensation, since they abide thus smiling and cheerful with mind as a wild deer. So King says that, to me, those other religious practitioners are having suffering in their life. They give torture to their life so that they are not happy. But when I look at monks, they are smiling, they are pleasant, I feel that they have something in their mind, like concentration always, so that they have compassion and kindness. And I think when people see them for the first time, the people want to look at them again because they are very pleasant. Do you experience like this in your life? Sometimes we see people and we want to see them again. Sometimes we see people and we never want to see them. Yeah, negative minded people. Yeah, energy. Actually, sometimes we feel some negative energies from some people. They are not physically present, and also certain things come to our mind that I should not look at that person again. But the I'm not a scholar on aura and other things, but I have heard a lot about those auras and how people talk about it and so on. So when you practice Dhamma, your aura becomes pleasant. Your attitudes are going to be good, so that your physical energies flow pleasantly out of your body, and it is felt by animals, basically dogs, cats, even dangerous animals like tigers, elephants, and even when you go to water, even fish, dangerous fish would never harm you because they can feel your physical energy as pleasant, so that they think that they are not a threat to us. That's why the Buddha asked monks to practice kindness and compassion as meditation if monks and nuns are in the forest, because a forest is a place where for dangerous animals like snake and tigers and so on. If you do not practice kindness and compassion, your aura is going to be negative, so that they are going to attack you, they are going to disturb you. But if your physical energies are wholesome, you are going to be safe at all in the thick forest, in the water. Even that's the magic. Actually, the magic is built in your mind. Magic is done with the way you live. So King Pasenadi say here that I see the difference of behavior of monks and other religious people. Whenever we came to monks, they are smiling, they are welcoming us, they are in pleasant situation, so that people are attractive towards monks. So this is another reason why I say I infer according to the Dhamma about the Buddha. Buddha is the self-enlightened Buddha. Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Buddha, and the Sangha of bhikkhus are in the good way. So this is why I say this. Another reason is given here. These are Dhammachaitiyas, monuments to the Dhamma, like special attributes or special facts of Dhamma. Why somebody wants to practice Buddha's teaching? Why somebody wants to follow the monks of the Buddha? Because they are such. So here I would say that the Buddha is highlighted and the Dhamma is highlighted by whom? By monks, right? Suppose you are a father. So suppose you are a mother. The way you behave in the society will tell you how good your children are. The way your parents behave in the society, physically, verbally, and other way around, will tell people what kind of children they have. So you're a character of somebody else, not only you. Suppose you go out and play, drink and dance, and you're over limit every day. So when people see you, they will be judgmental. They will have an idea that every family member are like this. Suppose you tell lies as a habit. So your credit is gone, and everybody in your family will be affected by that. So one person of a family can decide the direction of the family if he behave well in the society, the whole family will be respected. And if one member of the family is bad, it is also affecting to the family. So the Buddha is recognized as the self-enlightened Buddha, and the Dhamma is very important through the way the monks live here in the sasana. First, he said that I can see that other religious leaders do not stay in the order for long time. They disturb, they express their displeasure about their teacher and the teaching. So they go back to their lay life, leaving the order. But I do not see anyone in this sangha of bhikkhus go back. They never dispraise the Buddha. And he further said that I have seen other religious people, and they are nothing in their training, but the bhikkhus are very strong in their training. They have pleasant attitudes, and they enter into samadhi always, and they do not quarrel each other. They always talk nicely. So this is a kind of comparison, and at the same time, we are to understand who the Buddha is and the Dhamma is through the way monks behave. So that this is a very good example, this is a very good teaching for us. As a monk, if I live like a lay person, who, of course, lay person are very nice people, but there are lay people who have those negative behaviors. And if I live like that, people are not going to talk to me for anything like blessings and anything like Dhamma discussion, because they have labeled me as a bad monk, right? If I do not know how to talk to people to make them happy, if I do not know what to do as a monk, I will be doing certain things that monks should not do. I'll be speaking to people to make them unhappy, so that reputation is gone, and these people never will come to a temple hereafter. I have seen that people, due to political influence to sasana, particularly in Sri Lanka, some monks are politically engaged. They would speak certain things that monks should never say, and there were some monks who were really engaged with very unhealthy behavior. So people who have no much knowledge, people who have no close relationship with good monks, they fed up with those monks. They fed up with all the temples sometimes. It's a harmful thing. Those monks definitely do a harmful thing for the innocent peoples and their faith. And at the same time, people should also be responsible for their faith. Whoever say this, whether this monk or that monk, it doesn't matter. It is their karma. We should be careful about our dharma, because Buddha has said us to practice dharma individually. So if you do good karma, it is for your benefit. If you do bad karma, it also come behind you, and bad results is there. So that we should be careful. Don't rely on monks. Don't rely on somebody else, particular person. Just practice the dhamma. Keep the dhamma you as your teacher. That's what the Buddha said at the last minute of his life. He didn't appoint any particular monk as the leader. He said that right after me, keep the Dhamma as your teacher. So that's your teacher. So it's very wise, so that we have to keep the set of teachings of the Buddha as our guiding principle, so that you are not going to be any wrong in the Dhamma. So I wanted to show you the point that the Buddha is well highlighted as supremely enlightened Buddha because of the monk's behavior. And the Dhamma is understood as right and up to the point because monks and nuns practice, behave well. How could they behave well in such a way unless the Dharma they practice is positive, right? Is negative, sorry. So that is what we want to tell here. King is continued like this. Where did I stop? Okay. He said that, Venerable Sir, being a head anointed noble king, I am able to have executed those who should be executed, to fine those who should be fined, to exile those who should be exiled. Yet, when I am sitting in council, so it is said that I'm a powerful king. I can do whatever I want. I'm the king of the country. But you know what? When I'm sitting in the council, some interrupt me. While I'm talking, somebody else could talk. And even though I ask not to talk while I'm talking, they do not listen to me. It's a kind of, we all know what happened in parliament, what happened in cabinet, in meetings, a special meeting. Not only one person is talking, everybody is talking at the same time. That is everywhere. That is very common. That is everywhere. But he says, yet when I'm, so this is another. Though I say, gentlemen, do not break in and interrupt me when I am sitting in council, wait till the end of my speech, still they break in and interrupt me. But here I see bhikkhus, while the Buddha is teaching the Dharma to an assembly of several hundred followers, and then and there is not even the sound of a disciple of the Buddha coughing or cleaning his throat. So the Buddha, when the Buddha delivered the Dhamma to several hundred monks and nuns, none of them even coughing, even clearing their thoughts. So he gave an example. Once the Buddha was teaching the Dharma to an assembly of several hundred followers. There a disciple of the Buddha cleared his throat. Thereupon, one of his companions in the holy life nudged him with his knee to indicate, be quiet, Venerable Sir, make no noise. The Buddha, our teacher, is teaching the Dharma to us. So when the now king said that, I thought it is wonderful, it is marvelous. It is marvelous how an assembly can be so well disciplined without force or weapon. Indeed, I do not see any other assembly elsewhere so well disciplined. This is, Sir Venerable Sir, this is another reason for me to accept the fact that the Buddha is fully enlightened and the Dhamma is well proclaimed and the Sangha of Bhikkhus is well disciplined. So it is marvelous, right? So how could all the people give the ear to the Buddha without moving their body, without making any noise? How could that Dhamma would be? Actually, it is a magic. Buddha did not use screen like us. Buddha did not use any speakers. Buddha did not use security guards. Took and different monks to make people behave. He did not use anything. He was able to speak to people's heart and mind. We are unable. We are, as monks, we are still trying to make people pleased with our Dhammasaman, but it does not happen sometimes. Actually, many times. Only 1 or 2 times average people become happy if we make some simple things. But if we speak the very deep Dhamma, people become unhappy. So anyway, the Buddha is such a wonderful person in delivering that. I just want to cover the sutta today so that I could quickly go into other points. Again, Venerable Sir, I have seen here certain learned nobles who are clever, knowledgeable about the doctrine of theirs, and sharp as they are splitting marksmen. They wander about, as it were, demolishing the views of others with sharp wit. When they hear the Gautama, the recluse Gautama will visit such village and town, they formulate a question. So here, some kind of similar statement as in Chulahatti Padopama Sutta. King Pasenadi says here this, I know noble, learned nobles. I know other people like, learned Brahmin, learned householders, other religious leaders. Four categories are discussed here. learned nobles, that means very educated people, come to the Buddha, and they came to the Buddha to defeat the Buddha with questioning, with arguments, and so on. But when the Buddha started talking, they never say a word about what they thought before. Earlier, they planned with question and answers and counter arguments. This is how we talk to the Buddha. So this is how we defeat them. This is how we make him unhappy by asking question and so on. They so that he cannot answer our questions. So they came to the Buddha with prepared mind. However, when they came to the Buddha, they listened to the Buddha and they become disciples of the Buddha. I see this from when Brahmins came to the Buddha. I see this when householders, very rich people, very people who are famous came to the Buddha. I see the same thing when other religious leaders came to the Buddha. None of them could argue with them. None of them do not talk anything about what they plan. So they became the Buddha. They became disciples of the Buddha. So this is another reason why I say the Buddha is fully enlightened and the Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Buddha and the Sangha of the Buddha are in the right order. Another thing, Venerable Sir, one day, Isidatta and Purana, they are two ministers of King Pasenadi. So my two inspectors, eat my food and use my carriage cart. I provided them with a livelihood and bring them fame. Because Isidatta and Purana, I gave them everything. They are eating my food. They are living in my palaces. I have treated them in an extraordinary way. Yet, in spite of this, they are less respectful towards me than they are towards the Buddha. Once when I had gone out leading an army and was testing these inspectors, Isidatta and Purana, I happened to put up in very cramped quarters. Then these two inspectors, Isidatta and Purana, after spending much of the night in talk on the Dhamma, lay down with their heads in the direction where they had heard that the Buddha was staying and with their feet towards me. I thought it is wonderful. So I am giving Isidatta and Purana everything. Without me, they are nothing. But they are not respectful for me. They have respect towards the Buddha than me. When I see this, spontaneously, the thing came to my mind, it is wonderful. So this is another reason to tell me that the Buddha is fully enlightened and the Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Buddha. That's why people see the Buddha's greatness through the Dhamma. We have to feel something in us, then only we can see this man who taught us is great. So, for example, how do you respect your parents if you respect them very well? Because they have taught you something good. That's why you love them. That's why you want them in your life. Likewise, Buddha has taught us something, so we respect them because of that. So last week we discussed the Vimansaka Sutta. In that sutta, the Buddha himself said to monks that question me. You have 100% freedom to question me. The Buddha said that. There is no religious leader in the history of humankind who said, come and question me before following my teaching. So the Buddha said that. So there you have full freedom. So this kind of things made the King Pasenadi to tell that I accept the Buddha as my teacher, the Dharma as my guiding principles, and the Sangha of Bhikkhus are my examples. So he haven't finished yet. He said something. This is the last thing he said. Again, Venerable said, the Buddha is a noble and I am a noble. So now he is coming to the point, because King Pasenadi is a relative of the in a distance way, not a very close way, because the Kosala country is a huge country. Inside of it, or Kosala country attached the Sakyan country as a region belongs to the Kosala. So that King Kosala always tell this, I am a noble, and that's mean warrior class. The Buddha is also from the same class. The Buddha is a Kosalan and I am a Kosala too. That's mean you are mine and I am yours. So we are connected to each other. We have relationship. Buddha is 80 years old and I am 80 years old too. This shows that this sutta is delivered. This conversation between the Buddha and the King Pasenadi Kosala happened at the last stages of the Buddha and also King Kosala. Because we know from the Dhamma that Buddha passed away when he was 80 years old. So before the Buddha started last journey from halfway through of Magadha to through Vajji and Visala, and finally he ended up his journey, in Kusinara. So he did this conversation with King Kosala. He said, the Buddha is 80 years old and I am also 80 years old. Since that is so, I think it proper to do such supreme honor to the Buddha to show such friendship. So this conversation start why? King Pasenadi Kosala knocked the door of the Buddha's kuti and the Buddha opened the door and he kind of fell down there completely and touched the Buddha's feet and worship with so much respect. Then the Buddha asked, why are you respecting this body so much? This is a kind of body that has the nature of impermanence, decay, and this body is going to die one day. It is old now, right? Why are you having that much respect to this body? This is what the King Pasenadi tells the Buddha. From I think there are several factors. I say you are my teacher. I say this Dhamma is my guiding principle, and I respect the Sangha because of this reason, because of that reason. And how now, venerables, we depart, we are busy and have much to do. So having said that, the King Pasenadi left the Buddha, and then Buddha said, okay, if you think you want to go, you may go. Then the King Pasenadi rose from his seat, and after paying homage to the Buddha, keeping him on his right, he departed. Then soon after he had left, the Buddha addressed the bhikkhus like this. Bhikkhus, before rising from his seat and departing, this King Pasenadi uttered monuments to the Dhamma. So before he left me, what he was telling is monuments to the Dhamma, Dhamma Chaitya. So why you respect the Buddha? Why you follow the Dhamma? Why you should accept the Dhamma? And why you should respect the Sangha? So everything is said by this King Pasenadi before he left. So learn the monuments to the Dhamma, because master the monuments to the Dhamma, remember the monuments to the Dhamma. The monuments to the Dhamma are beneficial because, and they belongs to the fundamentals of the holy life. This is what the Buddha said, and the bhikkhus were satisfied and delighted in the Buddha's word. That is the end of the discourse. So he finally said in the discourse that we need to keep them in our mind, learn them and keep them in our mind and practice them. Why? Because it makes our holy life completed, right? You always think about the Buddha, you always think about the Sangha, you always think about the Dharma also. That is the key for hanging on to the noble teaching. So when you do that over and over, you are physically, verbally, and mentally, all the ways, you are away from unwholesomeness because you have something to rely on in your mind. So that is the end of the discourse. What do you have to say? We'll see what you have to say. This is a kind of discourse to tell us that we should, have the proper saddha, akaravati saddha on the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, on the sila and on the noble path. Akaravati saddha means rational faith. In my understanding, you have reasons to follow the Buddha. You have reasons to follow the Dhamma. You have reasons to accept the Sangha as good example. So I can see that Dr. Pial raised his hand. Please take your time.
Interesting, Bhante, thank you. Very interesting sutta. There's not a lot of Dhamma content here, but at the same time, I believe this sutta could have gone a different way if Buddha asked, why are you worshipping my body? I mean, these are only like 6 elements or 4 elements. Like, I mean, why are you kissing my feet? He said body. I think there was a statement of kissing the feet too by Pasanidhi Kosa. So, I mean, like Vakkali, I remember the Venerable Vakkali who was admiring Buddha, and the same way he said, why are you doing this? It's like aggregates. So, or like 4 elements. So it could have gone a different way, but I guess King Pasanidhi was describing more the faith he had in Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. So Akarati Sada. So he was a stream mentor, I believe, at that point.
Yeah. So actually, he was a stream mentor, and that's it. I think that is why he reasoned out well why he liked the Buddha, not because his body is so and so, but I think the King Pasenadi has very good points according to the Dhamma to tell why he liked the Buddha so much. Yeah, I think. He got into Sotapanna state well before this conversation.
So, I mean, what he's saying is, I'm Sotapanna in a way indirectly, because this is one of the 4 Sotapatti Anga, right? The confidence in Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Although the last, I guess, the other one is not said. The Sila, Sila part is not like kind of explained here. I mean, he didn't say that, but he's saying, I have so much confidence in the Buddha and the Sangha, and why I have this confidence in Buddha and the Sangha. And the Buddha said, remember these qualities. I think part of he's explaining, I'm a stream mentor. This is why I have so much.
Yes, true. Interesting, because the King Pasenadi showed us some qualities of a disciple who has strongly stand on the Dhamma. So when you really understand the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, there is nothing for you to rely on except those triple gems. So he showed, as you said, avicca pasada on the three gems, Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. So it is coming only for those who actually attain to Sotapanna state. Well, before that we have it, but at difficult situation it could change.
So unwavering confidence, even something goes wrong, we still have confidence. Okay, I just Buddha said this, but still why I'm suffering because of maybe. So sometimes people lose the confidence because if they go through some sort of dukkha. Maybe they said unwavering confidence, you don't lose it anymore. Like it's steady. Like it's like this.
We have seen some people, even some monks who lose their faith and confidence to the Dharma, because sometimes people are very, very good when things go smoothly, but when things go wrong, like people come to chanting, people come to meditation when things are normal, But when things go wrong, they cannot do it. They go behind different things just because they have no such strong shraddha on the Buddha Dhamma and Sangha to rely on. So the people, I mean this because we can make our own criteria whether there is proper confidence on the Buddha Dhamma and Sangha or not by checking ourselves when things go wrong. Right? It is one of the actually qualities to check whether people attain to certain stage of enlightenment according to Tana Sutta. Buddha say, wait and see whether these people change their attitude when things go wrong. So long things are okay, they are also okay. They show very beautiful qualities. But when things go wrong, natural disasters could happen, relatives and kith and kins could die, maybe disastrous situation. When such things happen, they show different things if they do not have Dhamma in their mind. So likewise, I would say that those who do not have proper Shraddha will show it in one way or the other when things come out. When things
you put to
happen.
A test.
Yeah, it's a kind of test. Right? So I think King Pasenadi showed us how one become faithful or confident about the Buddha. They have to understand the Buddha, who the Buddha is, and what the Buddha taught us, and how disciple come to that state of discipline. So if you have these questions in mind and look into the answers, I think we could find a lot of interesting Dhamma for our benefits.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yes. Anybody else who wants to talk about? Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I like this part that you said that when Buddha dies, he did not choose anybody to.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important because he knew that you're not supposed to follow.
Yeah.
You are supposed to go through this process like him. And unlike today, they are the religion. They always follow somebody. If that person, God knows what is he teaching, and he takes them blindly and they ask him no question. So I think that's the right path.
Yeah.
To go your own way, follow the Dharma, and that's Dharma is your teaching.
Yeah.
You can get help, but it doesn't mean you've got to follow.
Yeah.
You are different than people.
And
that's very important for me.
Yeah. Even when the Buddha lived, there were monks and nuns who did not see the Buddha at all in their life, because the Dharma spreaded into far corner of that India in 6th century BC. I believe that some monks and nuns even maybe saw the Buddha just for one time. So the thing I want to say is that Buddha did not go to advise each single monks and nuns one-to-one. So the message went to them from other disciples. It means that the Dharma, even the Buddha was living, Dharma would be the teacher for everybody. So he taught what has to be practiced and asked them to go to different places, so that Buddha was not there in front of them, close to them when they meditate. So whatever I said, keep in mind as the principles, and when you find a problem, take these Dharma as solution and apply them. So even while the Buddha was living, the Dharma, acted as teachers of monks and nuns and lay people. So however, when the Buddha passed away, he told the community of monks and nuns and lay people that I'm not going to replace anyone in my position. Just if you have any problem, go to the Dharma and Vinaya. Both should be considered, because Vinaya, we tend to forget Vinaya at all, but it is the most important thing. Vinaya means disciplinary rules. So they are the guiding principle for us to stay calm and peaceful to experience the Dhamma. Unless Vinaya is practiced, there is no way for us to taste that deep Dhamma. Because unless Vinaya, mind is wild. Unless disciplinary rules, our mind could be wild as it is. So Vinaya rules always discipline our mind so that mind gets to be a very calm and peaceful process, so that deep Dhamma is easily absorbed. So that we have to consider both Dhamma and Vinaya. So when the Dhamma and Vinaya is kept on top of everything, anybody can practice it. So I think that is a remarkable thing. So even King Pasenadi here tells us that through Dhamma I see you. Through Dhamma I can see Sangha who they are. Through Dhamma that I can see who you are. Only a way for us today to see the Buddha, to see the majestic nature of community of Sangha is through the Dhamma. Dharma means the set of principles we have to practice. It doesn't bound us to some corners, some prejudice, some views. It always releases us from problems. How do we find the right Dhamma in our life, in this order? Buddha has told the people in Kesaputtaka, the people are called Kala. They say that do not believe on do not believe things just because they are in the text, just because somebody else said, just because this is coming from tradition, just because they were in our religious text, just because our parents said, just because this and that. He, having said this 11 points, he said that question everything based on one thing. That is, what is one thing? Whether it is good for me, whether it is good for others. Yeah. If it is good for only you and bad for others, it is not the right thing you should do. Where suppose it is good for others, not for you, that is also bad. So certain things to be good, to say as good, should be good for everybody else. So there he talks about the kusala and akusala, skillfulness and unskillfulness. If word and actions and thinking lead us to develop greed, hatred, and ignorance, they are not the right Dhamma. If our actions, if our speech, if our thoughts are leading us to be away from greed, hatred, and ignorance, they are the right Dhamma. So criteria have been put forward very nicely by the Buddha in Kalama Sutta. So here King Pasenadi seems understood the Buddha very well, because he was a first stage of enlightened person. So that as we discussed so far, he has unwavering confidence on what he has been doing. That's why he was able to, do certain things. We know that King Bimbisara, the King Bimbisara attained to enlightenment, first stage of enlightenment. But these kind of statement show us even King Pasenadi Kosala had that state, enlightened state. But I would say this at the last moment, that King Pasenadi was not that wise like King Bimbisara. Because the conversation between Mallika, the queen of King Kosala, was showing that King Pasenadi Kosala was not that wise. One day, Queen Mallika was talking about, I like myself very much. She said that I like myself. The question asked was that who do you like most? The question came from the king, Pasenadi. Then Queen Mallika said, I like myself very much. Then the king was so upset. But because the anticipated answer was that, okay, oh my king, I love you so much. That was the answer the king anticipated. But the answer was that I like myself very much. Then he went to the Buddha and said that I am so unhappy today because my beloved queen Malika said that she like her very much. Not I'm not in her mind at all now. Then it is said that when somebody says that I like very much, it means that you have compassion for you. It is the very person is trying to clean his mind. Nobody else can do that. So that you should love yourself first. That is actually according to the Dhamma. Dr. Pial, you want to say something? You're still muted.
Hindi has a question.
Oh, yes.
Bhante, I just have a quick question. Like, can a king, after being Sotapanna, still rule a country and go to war and do all that?
I don't think. If I from my understanding, you have to let go of many things because it's very difficult to see. It's very difficult for that persons to ask ministers and other people to do this and that, because a ruler is not that peaceful, according to our understanding. So that either you have to give the responsibility to others, or you should not engage with such activities like giving punishment and so forth.
War.
I think, and then being a king, you have to go and satisfy your royal family with dancing, singing, and there are a lot of parties. How could I think it's very difficult?
But at the same time, they follow the principle.
Yes.
The Dharma.
Yeah.
As long as they follow the Dharma, I think it is okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to, as a king, you have to do something that the monk doesn't do.
Yeah.
But it is according to Dharma.
Yeah.
You know, their Dharma a little bit different here.
Yeah.
If this is purity monk, that's also, if he follows the Dharma, that's his job.
Yeah.
So like nowadays, it's not many people, I think,
Yeah.
practice, but not in the monastery. They practice in life as they work.
That's true.
So when they work, they take the work as a dharma, as a principle, which is holy. So if I'm an employee at work, I feel that it's my work.
Yeah.
I will do wholeheartedly the work.
Yeah.
So this is my dharma.
Yeah.
The same thing as
the king. Yeah.
Be a monk.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's as long as the principle is the same, whether you are a king or a monk, I think it would be accepted as a as a principle. Though, yeah. The other parts I don't know.
Yeah, when somebody is in that top level of administration, they have certain things to do. Like, you are the head of the state, so that you have to give orders. You have to, suppose there is a war, which is totally against of the rule of the country. So you have to order your army and other security forces to go and finish it. That's what the country expect from the angle of economy and politics and so on. But if you go to practice compassion there, the other army, the enemy army, will come and take you because you are not giving order. So in certain position, you have to, when you advance your dharma, you have to let go. That's why I think even Prince Siddhartha went out in searching of truth.
He left the kingdom.
Yeah, he left the kingdom because attaining enlightenment and doing kinship could not be done together twice. They have different tastes, they have different ways.
Yeah.
So that you have to take one side of it.
What about Krishna and Bhagavad Gita?
I do not.
War.
I have no much understanding about Krishna, but I have read Bhagavad Gita to a certain extent. But it's a different religion, different religion, and different way of saying, I don't know how to communicate. Yeah.
It's difficult.
Yes, difficult. Because when we come to theistic religion, their way of practicing Dhamma is to united with the Almighty or Brahma or whatever it is, because that is their end of training. But when we come to spirituality, in Buddhism, it talks about ending of life cycle, which means ending of craving and attachment and all kinds of negative things, including the biggest thing, ignorance. So it's a self training which you get at the end, self freedom, so that what the Buddha taught is totally different from what other religion teaches. So sometimes we cannot compare. So anyway, we find some good things from other religion too, like Krishna talks about selflessness. I read some of them; they are very beautiful. So they have he has taught people how to regulate their life based on moral principles. They are pretty good. So that there are a lot of good things, but I do not in a positions to understand his teaching very much like the Buddha.
I have one more question, if I may.
Yeah, please.
This Dharma. First, I want to know the Dharma, which is a set of principles. Does it include the three jewels?
Yeah.
Does it include?
Yeah.
Secondly, the Dharma for every, there are many meanings of Dharma that, like according to the Vedic code, they believe that the Dharma, or in China, the way of life, they believe that you don't touch as it is, you go with the flow of the life, and that's the Dharma. In Buddhism, the Dharma is the set of principles.
Set of principles that cool down you, cool down your mind in a surface level as well as advanced level. So set of principles that teaches you how to live peacefully right now, and it has many definitions actually.
That's what I was confusing trying to get this Dharma, and that somebody else told me that whatever quality that you're born with, that's your Dharma. Then again, another definition of Dharma. So
actually, when we come to, we don't have much time to tell it, but I would say in simple term, with the word Dharma, in Buddhism, we talks about the Four Noble Truths. We talk about it is the central teaching. When you analyze Four Noble Truths, you can see what Dharma the Buddha talks about. It's about real nature of our mind and body and how to get out of the suffering. The cause of suffering is called Dharma. So whatever Dharma you practice, it makes you away from suffering and the causes of suffering. That's called Dharma. It's a simple definition. Yeah. All right. So time for the Sutta study class is going over. I would like to finish today's Sutta discussion by saying that we discussed today Dhammacetiya Sutta of Majjhima Nikaya. Sutta number is 89. And it's not a difficult sutta to read and understand, so you may go into it again if you like, to see how King Pasenadi talk about the monuments to the Dharma. There you have certain saddha qualities of the King Pasenadi, and you could have the same thing. So that is the end of today's sutta discussion. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your comments and questions and addition. They are all a lot of good things for us and everybody else. And we continue to our study suttas for the benefit of everyone. Wishing you all happiness and peace. I am going to end today's sutta studies. May Saturday night and Sunday, the weekend, would be peaceful for you until we meet next Saturday. May you all practice the Dhamma for your benefits, and may you attain nirvana soon. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Welcome.